So were there any other things that you struggled with then, as well as that? Or was that the main sort of driver?
I mean, sort of touching back on like holidays as well, like when we used to go on holiday, like we'd try and go on like at least one all-inclusive holiday each year. And I'd sort of spend the whole holiday eating and just being like in such...
You've paid for it.
Physical... Well, yeah, but I was literally in like such physical pain by the time we'd come around to the evening. Okay. Like... I mean, you know what bloat feels like, but imagine that sort of times 4. Mm. And I remember getting like this severe pain in like my shoulder. And when I Googled it, it was literally like you've eaten too much food and your stomach's... No, it was more just your stomach's expanding, sort of upwards. Everything's moving.
I thought you were going to... I thought you were going to go like extreme, you know, where people like Google symptoms of stuff and then it's like the worst thing possible.
No, to be fair, thank God. But it absolutely could have, like if I'd have continued this behaviour, it was extreme in itself. So God knows what it was doing to my body whilst I was doing this, like on top of the stress and all the guilt and like the negative emotions I was feeling alongside it. But yeah, for like years, it just sort of dampened my quality of life and also sort of damaged my relationship with the gym. Because I was like, I love lifting, but detaching lifting from compensatory exercise. I'm like, am I in the gym because I love it? Or am I here because I'm just trying to burn off food? So I really had to sort of
So you're using it as like a
yeah,
you're using it as like a tool to justify the amount that you were eating, essentially.
Yeah. 100%. And like sometimes I go to the gym like twice a day. Just
wow.
Yeah, because I felt that horrendous about what I'd done.
Yeah.
Like the day before.
Right.
So yeah. Not very good.
So what was the sort of trigger then that changed that?
It was during lockdown. Obviously a lot changed in lockdown. And I had to sort of lose. Well, we lost the gym, didn't we? Like, and
yeah,
that was just crazy in itself. And that was like an adaptation that everyone had to make that everyone was struggling with. Because obviously, you know, physical benefits aside, exercise is just amazing for mental health. And I think for me, sometimes mental health is a little bit dependent on exercise. I hate to admit it, but without it, it's just really difficult. And I know a lot of people struggled. So I sort of had to adapt to home workouts. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't, like, I've only got so much time in the day, and trying to work out from home, you know, we were only allowed to go outside like once a day. And for the first lockdown, I was very
like an hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, abiding by that. So normally I'd go for like a couple of walks. Not being able to do that, like I was sort of, my ability to over exercise was being limited. So that was like the first sort of thing I had to be like, oh my God, I can't over exercise and compensate for what I'm eating. And then it just got to a stage where I'd been more open with my partner about what was happening and sort of my eating behaviours, because for a long time, everyone just thought I loved food. Everyone just thought I was a gannet. There was a lot of secret eating going on. So it was like a little bit of a surprise to him that there was a bit more of an issue. He's never struggled with his relationship with food ever. So to hear the word binge eating, he was like, I have no idea what you're on about. The only binging he did was like watching, 10 episodes of a program in a row. But the conversation online sort of opened up a little bit. There was like a couple of people that came out regarding the relationship with food, and sort of binge eating episodes. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm doing. Because sometimes I wasn't like going to the shops and buying those. I mean, I absolutely was going to the shops and buying a crap ton of food. And like the shops was only like an 8-minute drive away from my house. And I was binging on the foods whilst I was driving home. Like I couldn't even wait till I got home. I was sitting on the car park trying to eat all the food before I got home to my partner.
Right.
So it was just like super extreme. and just got even more extreme in lockdown. But because I couldn't, overcompensate with exercise, I was like, oh my God, I've actually got to deal with this now. I've actually got to sort myself out. And sort of having a name to put to it just made me feel a lot more normal. And sort of opening up, like I used to eat like icing sugar, just like straight out the box, which is a pretty unusual behavior to have. And it's like something I was just so embarrassed about for like such a long time, until I posted about it just in like a jokey way. I had so many messages of people being like, oh my God, I also just used to eat, the same. Yeah, just used to eat icing sugar, or like, like the horrible baking chocolate, not even like normal chocolate, like baking chocolate.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. But that's what makes you realize, oh my God, it must be extreme. Like you must have been desperate or completely out of your mind to want to consume that. And it was
it's like the worst chocolate as well.
100%. But it was like, Weetabix, and I would try and stick like an inch of sugar on the top of them just to sort of get my fix, if you know what I mean. But basically, yeah.
So you had a sweet tooth.
100%. But I sort of grew up in a household that was like mainly an ingredients household as opposed to like chocolate. So we only had like bits of things.
Right. So there was.
Yeah. When I was binging, I was having to like
You've carried that on.
Yeah, absolutely. You had to like create weird concoctions instead of just grabbing a chocolate bar. So yeah, it all just came to a head, and I basically just burst into tears one night. I'd been eating that much throughout the day, and I just said to my partner, I can't do this anymore. So he was like so helpful, so reassuring, so everything. He was like, whatever you need, whatever you want, I'm here for you. So I did my own research.
At that point, had he clocked on to the secret eating? Had he clocked on to that, or was he still sort of oblivious at that point?
I think he was still oblivious, bless him. Like, he just doesn't pay attention. But there were like certain instances where he's like, where's my chocolate bar gone? Or, oh, have you eaten all this food? Like, he'd open the bin and I hadn't like hidden it well enough. And he'd be like, oh, have you eaten all the Kinder chocolate already? So there was signs there, but I really don't think he put them together. He just thought, she's a girl that loves to eat. So, yeah. But yeah, so I was like, right, done my own research. I think I need to start eating more. So having my Instagram account, I sort of shared every aspect of my life on Instagram. So I was like, okay, this is what I think I'm going through, guys. This is what I'm trying to do to combat it. Because I'm very much like an open book, like a literary talker. And then that's when I got in contact with a coach. And I don't sort of accredit my full food freedom to the coach, but they sort of gave me that accountability that I needed. Yeah. I still did most of the legwork myself. It was a lot of challenging everything I thought I knew, learning to be okay with having a rest day and not feeling any guilt. Learning that it's okay to eat like an extra Fredda frog if you want it, and the sky isn't gonna, burst open and suck you into it. Like all of these rules, like it's okay to eat after 6 o'clock. You can eat at 8 o'clock if you really want to. You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. So I had to sort of like do that legwork and like question everything I knew. I even like changed gyms, because when we sort of could go back to the gyms, I was just like, I need a fresh new environment to sort of have a fresh start. And I think that really helped as well.
Nice. So how long ago was this then that we're speaking that this was happening? Because you say you're 26, nearly 27 now.
Yeah.
So is this around the time of lockdown then? The first one or the second one? Yeah,
it was literally the first one. And it was...
Okay, so 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the point of, so I actually lost my nan during the first lockdown. And that was like another...
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was just like so crap. But yeah, it wasn't anything to
I
do
lost
with
my
COVID.
granddad as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was just
Not
cancer,
ideal.
actually, that sort of came, and, you know, it was just horrendous. But that was, I mean, she was like literally the most important person to me in my life. And I'd never had like a loss that great before. And that was the first time that I went to turn to food, and I was like, actually, this isn't going to make me feel better. Like, I'm eating this food and it's not helping me. And I think that's maybe also when the cogs started turning, to be like, oh my God, you know, you don't have to turn to food to fix your emotional problems.
That sort of mental shift.
Yeah, as well. So yeah, a really crappy realization to come to at the time, but that was sort of a poignant moment for me.
Okay. And have you sort of had any struggles with that in the last 3 years since that you sort of changed? Or have there been sort of hurdles that you've had to overcome? Or do you have like daily sort of things that you need to do in order to keep yourself on track?
Honestly, no. And I want to preface that this isn't going to be the same for everyone. It's not common to sort of have a on and off sort of switch, but I honestly sort of can go, you know, when you've got a super busy day and sometimes you're just not able to eat as much, or you may just feel like totally exhausted. None of those situations trigger me now. I can eat whatever I want, when I want. If I want a donut for breakfast, it's not going to sort of impede the type of lunch I eat or the type of dinner that I eat. But that's not the same for everyone. When I sort of opened up about my binge eating journey and was like, right, this is done now. Like, we're not going to be this person anymore. I was able to just stop binging. Yes, there were like mental challenges, but on reflection, I just don't feel like I had it as hard as other people did. And, you know, when I went on holiday for the first time, and I was able to eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and it just be chill and enjoyable. It wasn't like, oh, I'm trying really hard to do this. It was more like, oh my God, I've just had a holiday and I've just eaten what I wanted to. And it was more sort of like moments of realization after I'd done it.
Yeah, when you see the benefits.
Yeah. So for me personally, I think it was quite a quick journey, thank God. And it's just not the same for everyone else. Some people can struggle for years. Some people can try and tackle their binge eating and still continue to binge for like a few months after. Everyone's journey is different, and I just want to preface that. But yeah, on reflection, I was sort of able to get the help, open up, start doing the things, and then be like totally, completely 100% fine today. Thank God.
Yeah, I see you post a lot of that sort of stuff on your Instagram as well, and it goes a lot into your online coaching and PT. Did that come off the back of any of this, or was that always the plan that you wanted to be a PT once you got into the gym? Like, when did you become a PT?
So, yes, I think on reflection, it did sort of come off the back of that. However, another unfortunate circumstance in my life, the job that I used to work at previously, I'd been in it since I left school. It was like a good, steady job. But unfortunately, we lost our manager. He passed away like really tragically. And that was sort of the moment where I was like, okay, life's too short. Like, he was only like 60 something. I was like, life is just too short to not try and help people. And sort of around just before that, I'd got an offer from a company, and they were like, we know, because I was doing like personal training qualifications behind the scenes. And I just didn't tell anyone, purely because I was like, you know what, I don't even know. Sometimes I don't have a lot of confidence in myself. So I was like, I don't even know whether I'm going to finish this. I don't even know whether I'm going to be any good at it, blah, blah, blah. That's like my personality condensed. Anyway, I had this offer for this company, and they were like, you know, we'll contribute some money to your training. We will give you experience, help you along, blah, blah, blah. And then my manager passed away, and the work environment just became horrendous. And I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. I just don't know what, next month holds, next year holds. So then I think it was about 6 to 7 months after that, I eventually left my job. So it was like a very slow burner, behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah.
And then was just like, screw it. Okay. I literally got engaged, went on holiday, got engaged, and then just never came back to work again. And then I was only with that new, I know, really nice. But I was only with that company like a short time, before it just didn't work out, and that's okay. But then made some wonderful, amazing friends from it who I run our podcast with, which we'll talk about that later. And then just sort of like went, but just sort of like went on my own. Obviously like working with people like Harriet from the podcast, who's a therapist. So, yeah.
So what was the job that you were doing before you turned to PTing, out of interest?
So it was literally just, and I feel like this surprises so many people. It was literally a little job in a factory, creating like electronic components and like sensors and things like that. I got into it because like a relative worked there, and they were like, in between like the 6 weeks holiday at school, do you want to come and help out? I was like, yeah, sorted, extra money, give it to me. And then I went back again for the next 6 weeks, and they were like, do you just want to stay here? I was like, hell yes.
Fair enough. And then was it a similar job that you were moving into as well before you left? Was it the same company?
No,
or
it was more like coaching and mentoring, and things like that. So,
okay.
Yeah. So it was like very helpful for what I do now. So that was literally January 20. I keep forgetting it's 2023 now. January 2022. Literally till February, I was only with that company in like 2 months, and then they sort of just dissolved.
You're about a year deep on your own.
Yes. Yeah.
How's it going? How are you finding it?
I'm enjoying it. It's not like my sole job. I do bits of like administration and like a receptionist things on the side, because I love coaching, but I definitely feel like I needed something else to like get me out of the house and to just have like another.
So do you do that sort of like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 sort of thing, and then you're coaching outside of that?
So I actually work sort of Thursday to Saturdays, but the days can sometimes like differ, but I haven't really like shared much on Instagram, purely because I don't know. I think it was more, I think I went into coaching thinking this is gonna like make me the happiest person ever. And then I became a coach, and sort of, I think it's a totally different experience going from working with people to then just being you. And I think it's more the social media side of things for me. I love coaching, but I feel the social media side of things draining and maybe sort of not aligning with who I am as a person, because believe it or not, like I don't know what perception people get from my Instagram, but I'm very much like a quiet person who like just enjoys peace, doesn't really like filming what I do, which doesn't make sense, considering what, like when you look at my Instagram, filming everything.
The 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah. But that was mainly built purely for enjoyment and just sort of accountability for myself. And I've definitely, I know I spoke about this on my story like a couple of, maybe like last week or so, but definitely just trying to turn my page back into enjoyment, and make like a separate coaching page where I can, so I'm just sort of like trying to create a lifestyle where I can help people, and just, get the most enjoyment from that and like do my bit, but also keep my sanity and quality of life and stuff.
Thank you very much for watching part 2 of the podcast. If you'd like to see part 3, click right here. If you're new, subscribe. And if you enjoyed it, drop a like below. Thank you.